Frightening statistic coming out today. 22% of teens in the past year have considered suicide, according to a survey done by Kids Help Phone. To talk more about all of this, Gary Dierenfeld is with us. Social worker, yoursocialworker.com to find out more. He's with us now. Hello, Gary. How are you today?
I'm good, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I know here we are talking about another one of those topics.
Yeah.
First of all, are you surprised by this stat?
Oh, heavens, no. I receive referrals all the time from worried parents about their sons and daughters expressing suicidal thought, ideation, and it's unnerving.
Are these stats higher now? Is this increasing, or has this always been there? We're just more aware of it now.
I think both things are going on. We do have a more stressful world out there. When I get feedback from teachers and principals about what's going on in schools across Ontario, I'm always hearing about more mental health issues, in particular anxiety, I think, first, and depression second. So this is a growing concern.
I don't want to get too personal here, but my daughter started grade 9 this year, and I greatly underestimated how big a change this would be for her. And my goodness, it's been quite a roller coaster ride for the last few days.
It can be so overwhelming. Just the change in the institution, the change in the size of the building. Mm-hmm. Going from one to the other, they're now in a much larger facility. That in and of itself can be overwhelming. Just remembering where the heck your locker is from one period to the next and rotating through all the classes. And now, you're housed literally with 600 to 1,600 students, whereas before, it would be several hundred. Mm-hmm. That's overwhelming.
How do kids deal with this anxiety? Obviously, this is grade 9 jitters. It's a little different than suicidal thoughts, but it starts with anxiety and then increases. How should kids deal with this?
Well, apart from how they should deal with it, more typically how young persons do deal with it is by, in a sense, swallowing it and or denying it, pretending it's not affecting them. There is still shame and stigma attached to acknowledging when we're overwhelmed, let alone considering having a mental health concern. So it really is up to the adults to take some degree of responsibility in the sense of trying to open up discussions with their son or daughter, with their students, to open up the dialogue, to give permission for all of us to talk about life stresses and how it affects us.
Surprised, this stat at 22% is one thing. This is another one that is quite disheartening. 47% of those who did experience these sorts of thoughts didn't talk to anyone about it.
Right. And that just speaks to what I just said, that most persons are feeling like they kind of, to use a terrible phrase, suck it up. Mm-hmm. Feeling that that's just what you have to do. And again, that's why we want to draw them out. Of the 53% that spoke about it, I don't want our listeners to get the impression that they spoke about it, in a sense, on their own volition. They may have been drawn out, most of those kids, in the sense that we see behavior. We see a child look despondent, not manage their behavior, be distracted, persnickety, and then we'll say to them, what's going on with you?
Yeah.
And just asking that question, what's going on with you? Is everything okay? Then we're starting to open that door.
Why does the suck it up method not work?
It doesn't work because when we try to swallow terrible feelings, they tend to exacerbate. Mm-hmm. Sorry, they get worse.
Yeah.
They fester inside of us, and the issues that gave rise to those feelings, we don't have an opportunity to resolve them, and so the underlying issues will continue.
46% had formulated a plan. Mm-hmm. That's breathtaking to me. Surprised there.
Right. And no, I'm not surprised, because if you're already at the state where you're contemplating suicide, you're also mulling over at least how would you go about it.
Oh, my.
So it's more than just saying, God, I wish I would die.
Yeah.
It's, oh, I wish I would die. What would I do? How would I do it? Where would I do it? What would I use to do it? And the degree to which a person contemplates that plan and then formulates that plan, it actually makes it easier, understandably, to follow through with that plan. And we want to intervene long and beforehand.
We've often heard girls and boys obviously handle things differently. Girls, 67%, were twice as likely as boys, 33%, to consider taking their own lives. How do you explain the gender inequality there?
There are gender differences. I think there's greater pressure on girls, young women, teenage females to, with regard to their looks. Tremendous pressure from the boys upon them and from the girls upon themselves. And so that gender difference, the societal pressure that they face in terms of how they are to look and what their bodies to be like, that is just another level that teen females face.
Why doesn't that push over to the guys? Why? Because they're concerned how they're looked at. They're concerned it's sort of the same things, maybe not so much as girls, but it's still there.
We just don't see that same degree of pressure on the guys that we do on the girls. That the girls have to more conform to a gender stereotype, a body image that when we look at the magazines, these are all photoshopped images. They're impossible images to emulate, yet those are unfortunately still held out as the female standards for the female form.
What advice do you have for both kids and parents? We'll start with kids. If you're a kid and you're feeling this way, what should you do?
Well, first to recognize that you're not alone, that many of your contemporaries are feeling similarly. It's only a matter of whether or not you know it. And so we urge you to speak with someone about it. That could be a parent, a relative, a friend, a guidance counselor, a teacher, the principal, a mental health practitioner, somebody at a community counseling agency.
And you may have to go to more than one.
You may. So we do want you to speak out. We also want to do much to educate their peers, other teens, what to do when your friend speaks up. So I've also had parents call me saying that my son or daughter has told me that their friend wants to kill themselves. But they told my son or daughter, you can't tell anyone.
Yeah.
You have to keep the secret along with me, because if you tell someone, I won't be your friend or I will kill myself,
yeah.
I have to explain to these parents that that's what we call the devil's pact.
Yeah. We
don't enter into devil's pact, and we have to be the responsible adult here, regardless of your son or daughter having said that they won't tell anyone else. They have, and you have a responsibility as another adult in society to keep this other parent's child safe.
Are kids talking to each other? Are they talking to other kids about this?
Some are. And so that's how some of these matters come to other parents' attention and to my attention. And again, the message to the parents is, you got to call it out. You have to speak with the other parents and bring this to their attention. Now, having said that, if you take a look at the stats that just came out, a large percentage of teens who think about suicide, they're thinking about suicide also because of matters arising at home. Be that parental alcoholism, domestic violence, complicated separation and divorce. There are many things under one's own roof that can affect a teen, creating a sense of despondency, hopelessness, for which suicide becomes a solution.
Do you think this stat will go up or down?
Sadly, or stay the same.
Yeah. And by that I mean because we're discussing it. It's coming out. I mean, it's all over the news today, this stat.
Well, but this is a blip.
Yeah.
So one news cycle on the topic is not the solution.
Yeah.
More resources, better resources. Listen, I've said this before. Mental health is the poor cousin in healthcare, and children's mental health is the poorer cousin.
Yeah.
In healthcare. So it kind of hits home that we need to have better resources and more education, more public education, such as you and I are doing right now, where we talk about these things and implore people to reach out and ask these teens how they're feeling, how they're doing.
Gary Dierenfeld has been with us, social worker, yoursocialworker.com to find out more. New stat from Kids Help Phone, 22% of teens in the past year have considered suicide. Gary, as always, thanks for the time. Much appreciated.
My pleasure. Tune in to your kids.
Thank you.